Everybody, we are good to go strong mamas, and we are doing a special recording today for International Women's Day, being March the 8th, 2018. And Yanina and I just wanted to share with you some things about today that we think and feel, and, you know, smash the patriarchy and all that. So I'm going to go first. I wanted to talk to you about what it means to me to be a feminist, because I've had quite the journey of recent years in terms of feminism, and I am loving it at the moment at this point in my life. It's a very empowering thing for me to be able to actually turn around and say, yes, I am a feminist, and this is something that I want to take on board and fight for. And I'm going to start with a story. Many, many years ago, way back in the dark ages when I was 19, I was stopped in a shopping centre by a person doing some radio interviews, and they said, on International Women's Day, and they said to me, today is International Women's Day, what does it mean to you? And I rather facetiously said, oh, it sounds like something that my ex-girlfriend would really be into. You know, because International Women's Day and feminism, for me, having grown up in middle-class white Australia, was, you know, feminists were angry lesbians still. Like, this is a long time ago that this happened. It would be clear. It was like 1991 or 92 or something. And, you know, I grew up in this world where if you were a feminist, you were just this angry man-hating lesbian, and there was nobody really understood what it meant. What it actually meant, in actual fact. I'm just going to leave that statement there, because having now moved to Sweden, and having grown up a lot in my life, I now understand that the feminist movement is in fact not a bunch of angry lesbians running around hating men. It is women standing up for women, to support women, to draw attention to a thing that happens in this world that is really not okay, you know, or many things that happen in this world that are just not okay, and that is the way women are treated. And having moved from Australia to Sweden, I have had the opportunity to sit down and look at the way I get treated in Australia and the way I get treated here. And it is worlds apart. And even here, you know, women are still treated differently to men. We are still othered. We are still excluded. We are still not, not automatically included. But in Australia, it is so different. And it is changing. Today, for the first time in my life, I had a very dear friend of mine publicly on Facebook honor me on Facebook for in regards to International Women's Day, and that was like, I teared up over that. That was really sweet. But that is the first time in my entire life I've ever had a man go, this woman is amazing.
Yeah, I saw that post. I liked it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I really honor Gavin for doing that. Like, he's an amazing man. Appreciate it so much. So, you know, I see things like that in my life, and things are changing. However, this is something that we need to fight for. We need to fight for closing the pay gap. We need to fight for when people treat women like they don't deserve to be included. You know, for when they treat women differently because they are women. When we are treated, well, you know, inequality is not okay for whatever reason. But to have this opportunity to sit down and take on board feminism and realize that I actually have a voice, that I have an opportunity to speak out and for something that makes me and other people feel better, that makes me and other people shine a light on the things that we can do, that makes the world a better place, then damn straight I'm going to take it on board. And I love the fact that I have had the opportunity to change and see that fighting for women's rights is not something that just, angry middle-aged lesbians do. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
I have something else that I want to say on that. Being the parent of boys, I also take on board my role and responsibility there to teach my boys how to treat women fairly,
Yeah.
and how to not become that same man that we're all thinking of in this moment when I say that treats women with difference. Because that is my responsibility as a parent, to make sure that everybody gets treated equally, and that my boys who become men are aware of who they are aware of their privilege, and make sure that they don't use that against people. Yeah. So there we go.
Good one.
Happy International Women's Day. Fight the good fight, and smash the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yanina.
It's funny because I'm going to pick up a little bit on where you left off with having boys and raising them to treat people, and especially women, in a good way. I always thought that I would only have girls, and then I ended up with one girl and two boys. And while you were having your talk, I was thinking like, okay, so I don't think that feminism came naturally to us who are, grew up in the 80s and the 90s, because the perception of a feminist was exactly what you were talking about. And I never had, I was always surrounded by strong women, but it wasn't like we were talking about how important the feminist fight is. Never was it mentioned. So the feminist in me has also grown as I became older. But then I was thinking, like, my daughter, she will have been brought up with this.
Yes.
She will know what it is. She will know the importance of it.
Yes.
That is something, such a good step, that women talk about their rights, and when they're not being treated well. Just talking about like recent events with Me Too and so on, where women stand up in a way that they haven't before. So automatically, when you were talking about feminism, I was thinking about how good it is for my daughter to be brought up in a different awareness. But even more important, I think it is to teach boys how to treat women and people. And when I found out that my third child was going to be a boy, which it's been a complete shock every time having boys. I don't know what to do with a child. And my first thought was, okay, so I have been brought boys in order to teach them how to be good. So I take that as my mission. Disregarding my food account that will be super high when they are older.
I know, right?
Anyway, so my rant was really sorry.
But you also wanted to mention about you can't believe we still have to do this.
Exactly. So International Women's Day is, to me, a very mixed, it gives me mixed feelings. It makes me angry that we need a day to celebrate women, or to notice, or put the light on inequality, or places in the world where women don't have the same rights.
Yes.
Like where women don't have rights at all.
Yes.
We shouldn't have to have a day for that.
No.
We should have a day for women because we're awesome. Where we celebrate ourselves. But we shouldn't have to have a day where we put the light on inequality for women, because it just makes me angry that it's still an issue. And I read all these posts where, oh, International Women's Day, let's celebrate all the strong women. And that made me thinking about strong women. And I think that being a woman equals being strong.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I mean, strong women, what's a strong person?
Yes.
We're all strong because we're all fighting this battle every day.
Yes.
But the day gives me mixed feelings because I don't know what to celebrate.
Yeah.
To celebrate the fact, or to notice the fact that we're being treated differently, or to celebrate strong women. Well, let's celebrate everyone then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I sort of lost the rant there.
That's all right. You know,
all over the place.
that's all right. But
Yeah.
You know, I happen to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
You know, why do we still have to do this? Why do we live in a world where women are not treated equally?
Yeah.
A friend of mine this morning put up on Facebook, and she's an American, she's lived here and she's moved back to America, and she said, I'm celebrating International Women's Day by receiving an email from a multinational accounting firm to let me know that I do not have access to my tax documents without my husband's permission, or without my husband accessing them first.
Oh.
But the actual people,
Yeah.
it is 2018.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And that's, I realize that is first world problems, and that is, there are major other things out there. But for us in this life, in this world, in this privilege that we have here, what can we do today to help shed the light on this inequality that comes about, and what can we do to fight for women and women's rights?
Yeah. And sometimes it makes me a bit sad because there's so much to do. I don't know what to do. But like, I think that, like you said, in this privileged world, because we're talking about, you know, we can't even imagine how
Absolutely.
things are in other places of the world.
No.
But I think that what I can do today and every day, the least I can do is to support other women. Not be critical, not be condescending, not think that women or people in general do bad things because they're bad. Like, we're just people, and women should support each other.
Yes.
Last note though, like you were saying, in the 90s, the conception of a feminist was something else than it is today. Teaching young people or youths, so I'm teaching 16 to 18 years old, 18-year-olds. Okay, do a cut there. Teaching young adults, I still see that misconception about feminism, and I usually start my lesson, my term, when I had new students, with them telling me what kind of person I am.
Yep. Wow.
So just by looking at me, they can say words about me. So, and I almost always get, "You're a feminist."
Oh wow.
Which is, you know, it's a compliment, and I always say, well, shouldn't we all be feminists? But it still isn't there, especially not with the boys, men. It's not there. And I've read essays arguing why the pay gap isn't real. Yeah. It's just because women choose jobs that are less paid.
Says somebody who's never been paid less because of their gender. Sorry, that's a little...
Exactly. It's not real. It's just women choosing
oh my God.
jobs that pay less. And, you know, reading an essay like that is just, you know, it's it's frustrating. But but just putting a big red cross over it wouldn't help. I wouldn't get my message across.
No.
So, and I think that, that's what I wanted to do. But I try to move slowly, step by step, questioning things. Not everything, but little things, just to plant a seed there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's challenging.
Yeah.
Very challenging.
And I in that, I totally agree with you. And I think that one of the things that we can do is have conversations and call that bad behavior when we see it, but in a non-judgy, aggressive manner, and one of the things that as you know, the rest of you will know now, is I've been binge listening to the Guilty Feminist podcast. If you're not listening to it, you should. So there's one episode where Deborah Francis White and Sophie Hagen, they're talking about calling out. And there's something that Sophie Hagen said, which was, this guy was behaving badly, and she just kind of went, "Oh, that's a little bit rapey." And it is a great, for me, it is a great way of using your words in a non-confronting, funny way to draw attention to the fact that this guy was being a douchebag. And obviously you have to pick your moments, and all that kind of stuff. And we as older humans, have a little bit more power within ourselves and a little bit more voice within ourselves, and can do things like that and just say to them, yeah, that's a bit rapey, dude, or that's a bit not okay, or that's a bit misogynistic, or no. Like, I had a moment with my cousin who was here the other day, and he said something, and I just looked at him and went, yeah, you really can't say that. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know. And I said, you know what, it's funny, but you can't say it.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And he took it on board, and that, I think that's how we change things. I haven't always had, as a trainer, I've really taken on board the idea that, or as a human, actually, I've taken on board the idea that we change the world one person at a time, and if I can change one person tomorrow or today, then we're changing the world. We are changing the world. One person and one conversation at a time.
Yeah.
And that's how I think we can do it.
Okay, so there's obviously, this has so many issues. There's so many things that we could discuss, but one thing that I was thinking about is also how do we learn to love ourselves?
That's a whole other...
I know, but it's also got to do with taking back the power.
Yes. And
taking back the power of knowing your worth and knowing that you're awesome and loving every bit of yourself.
Yes.
Everything you say, everything you do, how you look, everything. And it's a big issue. So when does that come into inspirational talks?
Yes, that falls under and also education, actually. I think that also falls into education, because my instant response to that question is, firstly, that's a whole other conversation. But secondly, as a coach, I would, if you ask me that question, how do I fix this internal feeling, I would say to you, well, we need to work on your inner voice and your inner habits, and also your external habits. And it's actually just about training. It's just about training. You do have to change your beliefs, but that is also about training. Your thoughts and feelings can be trained just as much as your muscles can.
Yeah. But how, I think that this is an issue as well. I think we've all been happy with ourselves to begin with, but then we've had, especially men, in my case, telling me that, okay, I'm too loud, I'm too noisy, I have a big arse, I'm too fat, I don't look good enough, and then I've had men appreciating me for the way I look, and that sort of has made me feel better.
Yeah.
I'm not there anymore, but it's a big issue. We can talk about that another day.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
We will talk about that, don't you worry. But how do we teach people? We lead by example. we inspire, we motivate, and we educate. That's how we do it.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say on that?
No, I
Cool.
think.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Recording. And, smash the patriarchy, people.